Hi, this is Dr. Michelle Peticola, and today I'm going to talk about life makeovers. Those times in our lives when something really totally changes. And I want to start out by asking you, what big changes have you had in your life? You've probably had quite a few. Certainly there are those regular milestones that we all go through. If you're a girl reaching that feminine adulthood of menstruation, or a boy having his voice change. And those are more individual. And then there are those standard life makeovers like graduation or going to college. And suddenly you're on your own and your life really, really changes. And then there are the changes that are unexpected. Those are what I call the turning points. The times in our life, I'm going to move this light. Yes, there are times in our life when changes happen that are unexpected, that force us to change. And we're going through one of those periods right now with this virus threat. It is forcing us to stay at home, forcing us to stop working, or maybe working in a different way, and really having to adapt. It's like this big global shift. And it's happening not just in the sense that we are being harassed and threatened by this microscopic entity, but it is global. It is happening everywhere. And the numbers keep on coming out every day, and we say, oh my gosh, it's getting closer and closer. How is this going to affect me? I invite you to let it affect you. Hi, thank you for joining. By helping you to wake up, to take account of yourself, to review where you are. Like at the end of summer before the fall, or at the beginning of a new year, this is an opportunity. But it goes so much deeper because the virus is about life and death. It's about the essential way in which we've been living our lives. And this is not going to go away. I mean, we may master this particular virus, but there may be many more down the pike, because in many ways our culture has gone astray in terms of our relationship with the environment. I'm not asking you to, hi Darren, thank you for joining. I'm not asking you to man the barricades unless that's your calling. What I'm inviting you to do is to take this as a wake-up call to step up to what you are meant to do. That each one of us comes into this world with a purpose, with a plan, with something that we need to accomplish. But we get distracted. We get distracted by trying to survive our childhood. We get distracted by the need to earn a living, or to make ends meet, or to fulfill the expectations of others. There are so many things that get in our way. This is an opportunity. My experience as a psychosocial analyst is that generally we do not change unless we are forced to. And we're not unlike most of the rest of the creatures on this planet. Evolution only happens when we are pushed against the wall. And that's what this virus is doing for us. It's pushing us against the wall and saying, it's time to change. It's time to take stock and look at what is working and what is not working. So some of the other things that call us to change, and maybe they could be happening all at the same time, in which case you are really dealing with a lot. Divorce, death, illness, or some other kind of loss, like loss of place, loss of role. Maybe you retired. Maybe you moved out of your family home. Maybe you lost your home. Maybe you, hi, thank you for joining. Maybe you lost your job and suddenly you are forced to take another look. Now, I want to caution you against what I call the yo-yo makeover effect, is that when we are in this time of crisis, that's when we start to think about changing. But if it settles down or things get back to normal, we give up. We say, oh, and we let go, and we go back to our usual routine. And there are many ways, even when we face death, we face the death of a loved one, in which we can resist that call to change. I understand this personally because I did this for many years. In fact, it took the deaths of my parents to wake me up to how small I had been living my life. I was almost 50 years old. That's a long time to be living unconsciously. And there were many times in which the universe tried to wake me up, like losing my first teaching job, like losing my next job, like my husband leaving me for another woman. These were all wake-up calls. Hi, thanks for joining. These were all wake-up calls that said, maybe you are not going in the right direction. Maybe you need to take stock. Now, I had a client who had a very similar pattern. She was married to the same man for 30 years. And over the course of those years, he lost jobs, he got into trouble, and she kept on patching it up. We keep on trying to patch things up to make it work. And by the way, this is perfectly normal. We are designed to try and hold on to things. And in some ways, that's good. That's better than people who just throw things out at the first moment that things aren't going right. When it comes to marriage, we like to be committed and do everything we can. But in her case, she was overlooking the important things. The good news is that the universe will keep on sending us wake-up calls until we finally listen, until we finally take the steps. And that's what happened to me. Although I did start to make steps before my parents died, because I had lost my husband, had joined a spiritual community, and then I met my current husband for the first, actually it was the second time, but I met him, and I realized that I wanted this relationship. And I also had done enough work on myself, I guess, in the spiritual community to realize that I had problems, that I had issues. So I'm inviting you to take a look at your situation and see if there is something that you need to change. Hi, Deborah. Thank you for joining. Welcome. We're talking about the kind of situations that wake us up to the need to have a life makeover. So, of course, this coronavirus epidemic, this scare, is an opportunity. We're stuck at home. We have maybe time on our hands that we didn't have before. And maybe we are doing things to avoid paying attention. And I'm inviting you, no, stop, pay attention. So it's not easy to make a makeover, to do a makeover, a life makeover. It takes commitment. It takes focus. It takes looking at the scary parts of your life, the things that you don't want to look at, the things that you've been resisting for a long time. It may take an investment. It is uncomfortable because you have to try and develop new patterns and new programs that you are not familiar with, that might not work. And there is this desire to go back to the way it was before. I remember last year, I decided that I was going to change my diet. I read this book about the dietary causes of Alzheimer's and diabetes. And I saw or I felt it was speaking to me. And in one night, I decided that I was going to change. And I went into the kitchen and I threw out a bunch of stuff. I took stuff back to the store and I changed on a dime. I had just made a whole huge jar of mix for sprouted grain. And I was giving up grain. I was giving up carbohydrates. And I just let it go. And that's a big one for me, because I'm the kind of person who, I was brought up with that idea of the starving children in China, that I needed to eat everything off my plate. I hate wasting food. And yet, I knew my father died from Alzheimer's. It's a possibility if you don't take the steps that you need to change your life. So that's my most recent makeover. Of course, I made another makeover back when my parents died, and I realized how I had been living my life small, not on purpose. I had been living my life through the desires and needs of other people. I was playing hero and playing people pleaser. And I didn't want to take risks. I didn't want to be rejected. And I certainly understand if you are hesitant or you're feeling resistant, you don't want to be rejected. You don't want to be ignored or abandoned. I understand that. And some of those responses that we have go all the way back to our childhood, when our parents did not approve of certain things that we did that might have actually been an expression of who we really are. And so we have this fear about being who we really are. Well, that's the process of the Life Makeover. That's the process that I use. And that's why I'm inviting you to join my 5-day makeover challenge next week. So next Monday. And for 5 days, every morning, I'm going to be posting a video, which you can access anytime during the day, in my Facebook group, which is called Live Your Brilliance, and there is a link there. Join the group. You'll get the videos. You'll get the worksheet that will help you to go deeper than what I can possibly do in this video. So what do you need to wake up? What do you need to get you going? You've got the virus. What else do you need? What do you need to do this emotional spring cleaning? And that's what this opportunity is. And it is spring, so it's a good time to do a spring cleaning and say, what's working, what's not working? How am I not stepping up to my full potential? Let me go through the closet and find out what parts of myself I've been hiding there that need air, that need to breathe, that I have been literally holding down through muscular energy, through muscular resistance. So that's the first step. And that's one of the first things we're going to do on the makeover is take an inventory of what's going on. By the way, you are being supported by astrology right now. The moon just went into new moon in Aries. Aries is all about starting new things and moving forward. So this is a perfect time for this makeover. Here's the thing that I've also learned from my own experience as a psychosocial analyst, is that when you don't listen, when you don't take these opportunities, it gets worse the next time. The universe is nudging us to make a difference, to change, to do what we're meant to do. And when we don't listen, the voice gets a little louder and then a little louder, just like our bodies when we're not in good health. First, it's just a little bit of stomach discomfort, and then it's chronic pain, and then it's searing pain, and that's the way in which our body wakes us up. The universe wakes us up like, I lost a job, Then I lost a husband. And then I realized that I was not getting what I needed, and I needed to change if I wanted to have what I wanted. And that was, in fact, the first time I even realized that I had desires. So I'm inviting you to do that. Don't wait until you go through a divorce or somebody dies. You don't have to. You can use this opportunity, which we're all going through right now, as an opportunity to make the shift. I got to check my notes. Okay, so resistance. So what's holding you back from making this changeover? Well, there's the old inertia thing. It does take energy, it does take focus, it does take commitment. You have to look at the videos, you have to sign up for the group, you have to decide that this is something that you're interested in and that you want to change. So that's number one. Number two, ask yourself, if you died tomorrow, would you die with no regret? And if the answer is no, what are you going to do about it? Hi, thank you for joining. Isn't it time for you to change? How much time do you have left? I'm 70 years old. When I got my first makeover, I was almost 50. It was time for me to change. I'm running out of time. You may be running out of time too. But let's look at that excuse. Oh, I'm too old. Well, you're never too old to have a life makeover. I have a lovely story about a man who was an amazing patriarch in his family. He was a powerful businessman, and he got cancer. And he was on hospice, and a hospice volunteer came to see him. And he was depressed. He was devastated. He was relying on other people to take care of his most basic needs, and he felt worthless. He felt abysmal. And the hospice volunteer, who happened to be a very, very wise woman, said, you know, you can still make a difference. And he got interested. Well, how can I make a difference? I'm like totally useless. She said, no, you could actually be to embrace what you're going through and teach your family how to die. Wherever you are, there is something that you can do. And whatever you can do is enough when you set your heart and soul to it. So I'm too old. It's never too late until you stop breathing. You can make a difference. In fact, one of the biggest gifts that we can give to people is to let other people serve us and help us. And it's probably one of the hardest, especially in this country where we value rugged individualism so much that the idea of letting other people give to us is triggering, and we feel like, oh my gosh, I have to pay them back. I have to pay them back. So another way in which we resist is by staying busy. You're at home. Now, there are things that can keep you busy. There's plenty of stuff online to keep you busy and entertained. There are, every day I see posts about things that can distract us, including the COVID-19 virus epidemic, with all their new information every day, and you can just dive down that rabbit hole and you can just focus on that every day, and I've been watching more news than I normally ever do. But you can use this time for yourself. It's your choice. You can distract yourself, or you can say, I'm going to do what I need to do to look at myself and see what it is that I need to change. How am I not living my life fully? How am I not living my life purpose? And so here's another way in which we resist, and that is by playing martyr or hero. That is, we get sidetracked by the needs of others. And I know this very well because I have played hero and I have played martyr. And we feel so important and so valuable when we do that. When we save somebody, when we're important, when we're significant, we feel so good. We get such a boost. They're so appreciative. And then the crisis passes, and then where are you? You've lost your opportunity. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take care of your family members, that you don't address their needs. But I'm also saying you don't put your own needs on hold, that you carve space out for yourself too. It's about setting priorities and creating space for yourself. Are you worth it? Do you see yourself as worthy of giving yourself this gift of a life makeover, of finding out what you need to change and what you need to clear? So that's a big question. Do you feel worthy? And if you don't, this is something you want to look at. And that's one of the things I'm going to be going over next week in the Facebook challenge, the 5-day makeover challenge. I'm sorry, I'm checking my notes again. Fear. Fear is another reason why we don't go. And I understand this. Sometimes fear immobilizes us. Sometimes we allow fear to get us angry. And sometimes we let fear distract us. That is, we do all the things like watching all the information about the coronavirus, how we watch all of that and we distract ourselves. Or maybe we watch old movies and we distract ourselves and we hope to get through this time without paying attention. Why? Because deep down inside we are afraid to change. And why are we afraid to change? It goes all the way back to our early childhood, when we were taught that it was not okay to be ourselves. And that fear can immobilize us. So that's part of the challenge also, is to find out how you are blocking yourself, how you are holding back, how your fears are holding you back, and what are the patterns that you indulge in that prevents you from even noticing what your fears are. Now this is a really powerful process, and it's not for everybody. It's for people who really are ready to change, who really feel the urge to change, are curious about who they are and what they're meant to do. So here's what you need to do. You need to join my Facebook group. That's where you're going to get the postings next week, starting Monday, to do the exercises, to get the one sheets, the exercises, and you will also get the link to the webinar on Zoom on Friday, where I will be giving a full hour-long workshop that will help you to really, really step forward and get the change you need. So that's one, join the group. Number two, you need to make a commitment and say, I'm going to do this. It's important to me. I am valuable. I need to do this. I need to find out how I've been holding myself back. And how can I step more fully into my life? And then finally, reach out to your friends. Maybe you have some people who are holding you back or distracting you. Invite them to join too. Anytime we take advantage of this opportunity to do a spring emotional and mental and spiritual cleaning, it's a good thing. Because we are always evolving over the course of our lives. We are evolving, we are changing. New things happen. As a Buddhist friend of mine once said, 2 weeks before he died. Everything changes. Everything is impermanent. And we go through layers, and we go through change, and we go through evolution, and we shed the old skin in order to take our new form. That's it for today. Join my Facebook group, Live Your Brilliance. Bye for now.